Services Committee. Congressman, thanks for being back with us once again. You had this $2 trillion sell-off on Friday, $1 trillion in gains back today. I don't know. I just watched this, unique, incredible moment in the Middle East, and I see what's going on with Trump and Xi, and I wonder from your perch if you think they could figure it out.
I think it's distinctly possible. Like you said, I was in China for 5 days.
Yeah.
I think we need to negotiate with China and figure out how to, coexist. And, economics are a huge part of that, tariffs and restrictions. So, yeah, I think there is the distinct possibility that we could negotiate a deal there. We've got a long way to go. Still many differences, both in terms of tariffs, non-tariff barriers, a whole bunch of different issues. But I'm hopeful that President Trump will continue to speak to Xi and that they will negotiate towards some understanding on that.
What was your takeaway from being there?
My biggest takeaway was China's certainly an authoritarian country. Do not get me wrong. We have a number of disputes with them. China is too obsessed with grabbing territory that they have some 100-year-old claims to, and that's very disruptive in Asia. But at the end of the day, China wants to grow economically, and they are tied into the global economy in a way that, say, for instance, Russia or Iran or certainly North Korea is not. China really can't afford to get into an all-out conflict with the U.S. any more than we can afford to get into an all-out conflict with them. Now, the devil's in the details. China certainly wants their fair advantage over whatever the negotiations are, so we're going to have to be tough negotiators. But I think this is a relationship that we can, in fact, fix. It does not have to be an inevitable conflict.
To the story of the day, Congressman, you have a unique view, obviously, ranking member, House Armed Services Committee. As you look forward and as you saw what we all watched out of the Middle East today, what is your hope, Congressman, here going forward? And matched with that, what do you also think the reality is at the moment?
Well, I think the hope going forward is this turns into some sort of lasting peace. The reality is we've been here before. Now, I give credit to Trump, certainly. I think, getting to an end to this war, I think he was very instrumental. He stepped in, particularly in the last month or two, and really used his relationship with Netanyahu to put pressure on him to end this war. But people saying nobody thought we would ever see this. Well, you didn't really think that the war in Gaza was going to go on forever, all right? It was going to end. In fact, when Trump came into office, there was a ceasefire. And then we wound up with 8 more months of a war that really didn't need to be fought at that point. And
well, couldn't you say that there was this moment right before, the hostages, some of them were returned right before, I believe it was the hours before he took office, right? And I guess maybe that was some of his influence.
Yeah. I mean, look, President Trump is really good at amping up, the credit for what he has done, the greatest political victory in the history of the country, and everything is the most amazing, unbelievable. Nobody ever thought they would ever see it before. I like to keep myself down in reality in terms of what we're dealing with, and that's going to be really important going forward. Because the lasting peace, for that to happen, there has to be some sort of future for the Palestinian people, which means that Hamas has to be kept down and out, number one. Number two, an alternative has to be found. And Netanyahu has spent 15 years trying to make sure that no alternative to Hamas could successfully breathe air. He has undermined the Palestinian Authority and a number of other Palestinian organizations. That has to change going forward. The Palestinians have to have a future. So Netanyahu has to do that. I think President Trump needs to stay actively engaged because he does have influence in that region. And then the Arab states need to live up to their commitments. They've been saying for, 18 months or more now that they have a vision for a future in Palestine that doesn't involve Hamas. They have to follow up on that. They have to put their money where their mouth is and stay engaged. And all of that is going to be really difficult and require sustained attention from all players involved.
All right, part of the View from Washington State tonight, Democrat Adam Smith, ranking member, House Armed Services Committee. See you again soon, Congressman.
Great. Thank you.
Of course. All right, still much more ahead on this huge news day. The president trying not to stop